All right, what's going on, guys? I'm gonna do a video tutorial on how I set up my shelving and my racking for these muscle racks. Some people, I guess, want to see a tutorial on exactly the steps that I take and the tools that I have to get this job done. So this is gonna be a video dedicated to that. So if you guys are not familiar, I do have, this is kind of what the setup is gonna look like. We did clean up all of these P2Ss. My 3 X1 carbons are there as well. But these are 77-inch wide racks. You can call them muscle racks. You can get these at Costco, Walmart, Home Depot, etc. 77 inches from one end to the other, and it's about 2 feet in terms of the depth. So 77 by 48 inches, and then the height you can modify however you want in terms of what type of shelving you want. But basically, process I guess from the start is, this is 3/4 inch plywood, and so we bought a whole bunch of 3/4 inch plywood. This is one of the boards I have out here. So I bought 4 feet by 8 feet 3/4 inch plywood. Sorry, it's not plywood, it's particle board. I don't know why I keep saying plywood. It's particle board. I bought this from Home Depot. It's about $48 for a 4 by 8 sheet, and then from a 4 by 8 sheet I can cut two and 2/3 of a shelf. So 2 shelves and then 2/3 of another shelf. I'll show you in a little bit what I mean by that. But as you can see here, first step obviously is to get the board. Second step is you have to measure the length and the width of what you're trying to cut. So I'll show you that in a little bit as well when I go to the back. But basically I already have one piece on top of here that I already cut, measured and cut. And so I use this one piece as a template for future cuts. All right, and I have already set up this bay with the setup for the A1s with the top mounts. But basically when you install the shelves, most of them have these cross beams underneath them, 3 of them on one on each side and then one on the middle. So you want to install these first. This just prevents the beams from like bowing. It kind of keeps them in place. So you want to install these first before you measure, because I don't know if your measurements will be a little bit different than what I have. But basically, once that's in, you kind of measure just the total length you need and then the total width. For me, it was about 71.5 inches across and about 21.5 inches deep, I think. And the reason for that is you see that there's these little divots. I don't know what you want to call this, but this is where the particle board is going to sit on both sides, and then we just put some foam in here. So you want to make sure that your measurements are exactly the same in terms of the space here. All right, so I'm back out here. They're about to close the door. I'm doing this today because it's a nice 50-degree sunny day. These are the tools that I use, basically. Nothing crazy. Got my marker right here. Marker. I have a handsaw. I don't know if that's what you call this. I'm pretty sure it's called a handsaw. Ryobi handsaw that I've had for quite some time. Face mask. I have the goggles on my head for safety. And then I have these electric air dusters. So these things are, by the way, amazing. You'll see why I use this, but you can see. Yeah, but this thing is super strong. Bought it from Temu. We have about 3 of these. We use these to clean our printers. It's amazing for a job like this. You'll see in a little bit as to why. But yeah, so basically, I laid the template on here. We'll make some lines for the cuts, and that should do it. All right, I had to run inside real quick. One thing I forgot was this DeWalt orbital sander that I'll use to just sand the parts where I do the cuts so that we don't get splinters in the future. Okay, so this is what the 4 by 8 particle board looks like once I draw the lines in terms of what I need to cut. So this is one entire shelf here. That's another entire shelf. And then over here, I move it and I cut it this way so that the depth is the correct measurement. And then the length, I'll just basically cut up another piece to fill in the last remaining 1/3 of the shelf that I need. But this is for every board. This is the cuts that I make, and these are kind of just the other pieces that I've done already. All right, I've made some initial cuts. You'll see all this sawdust here. Take one of these guys, put it on, and this just blasts it right out. Yeah. I do highly recommend getting one of these. They're super cheap on Temu. This is where I got them from. It beats the air canisters, the compressed air canisters by a mile. These also have attachments that you can get and put on. I didn't put them on, but you can do that. All right, and there we have it. These are two boards, one there. I have one on the wall here, and then this is 2/3 that will fit onto one of the shelving. So each board at least gives me one bay and a third, sixth, 1/6 of a bay, something like that. But yeah, pretty straightforward. That's about it. Some people do recommend that you cut these into, you know, strips of 3 and then insulate them individually. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do too many cuts. I think for what I'm doing, this is more than sufficient enough to reduce vibration, and honestly it's just to make things a little bit more uniform, make it look a little bit more clean, and to be able to clean up easier. And I think, like, if I were to cut these into 3s, you might get stuff stuck in between the spacing and stuff. I didn't want that, so this was an easier job, just, you know, one straight cut along and then just sanding the edges, and it's all good to go. All right, just finished up cutting all of that particle board. Two things: you definitely need goggles. I think I got some dust in my eye, and you need a face mask because it does just a lot of sawdust. All right, the last piece, I didn't film this, but this is just some insulation tape that we put, I don't know if you can see it, into the grooves here where the board sits on top of, just to give it some more sturdiness for anti-vibration. But this is the setup for the shelves, and this is the tape that we used. So yeah, there's that. Hopefully you found this video interesting and solve some questions for you guys. I do remember when I was looking for racks way back when in my basement, I was trying to figure out how to actually do this kind of setup. Honestly, I probably should have done this way beforehand. I just, I don't know, didn't have the tools, because you needed a handsaw and something to be able to cut the particle board into size, which I didn't have at the time. But now that I do have a little handsaw, I'm able to just do this pretty easily. Each sheet probably takes me about 15 minutes to, you know, cut and sand down and ready to place on the board, on the racks. The bad thing is we have a ton of racks here that we are over time going to transition over to this setup. At the time of recording this, the P2S launched in the United States. It's November 20th. I bought them November 19th. I think they went live. Not only did the P2S go on sale, but so did the H2C. So interesting, because I think originally they slated the P2S to be released towards the end of November, and then the H2C to release in early January. So they must have gotten FCC approval or whatever they were waiting for pretty quickly. I probably had something to do with, you know, uncertainty with the tariffs and also the government shutdown. So what we're doing here in the farm is we are slowly selling off our A1 printers here, our P1P printers, and we're going to slowly transition over to the P2S. I did a lot of thinking, and actually had some insight from members in my Skool community, and it was vast majority, I think, lean towards getting the P2S, just for, you know, having one machine across everything, and also you know, it'll be supported for the next 4 years from now. And also a lot of my P1P printers, my A1 printers, my P1P printers, I have machines ranging from 12 to 15,000 hours at this point. We have a few that are under 10,000 hours. My A1s, we're reaching about, most of them are getting up to about 8,000 to 9,000 hours. We have some that are newer that are about 4,000 to 6,000 hours. and we're slowly just selling them off. And for the reasons I just mentioned above, I think the P2S will just be a better upgrade with our shelves, and also the enclosure I think will help a ton. With this many hours, we are seeing some issues with these printers, especially with the AMSs on top. Well, not necessarily the top mounted ones, just the AMS light in general, where the motors are just starting to die out ever so often. We're having issues feeding into the PTFE tubing, just all types of issues, which I think, you know, for a 9,000 hour machine is not unreasonable to have. And so you can see we still use a whole bunch of these machines. We've sold off probably about 10 A1 so far, and about 6 or 8 P1Ps right now. We're getting a good amount of money for machines that are over 10,000 hours, and also printers that are over that many hours. You're going to start seeing issues. Oh, look at that. Speak of the devil. Did this just break today? Yesterday? How many hours does this bad boy have? Let's see. Oh, that's it? All right, well, this guy has 8,500 hours. 8,500 hours for that one. So yeah, we're gonna start getting issues like that. So if I'm lucky, I'll be able to get $200 for the P1Ps if I'm lucky. And then the goal is to, you know, sell off 3 to 4 of them to reinvest into the P2S machine. So that's where actually all of the P2S machines are gonna go right now. I ordered 5 of them already. They're going to go here right now, and then in the next couple of days I'll order 5 more. I actually haven't done research on the power draw of the P2S. I don't know if I can run 12 P2Ss on a single 20 amp like I'm doing the A1s. I guess I'll find out in a little bit. Hopefully I don't have to do anything with the electrical setup. All right, anyway, sorry for the rant. This video is just supposed to be a sort of a quick tutorial on how to do some shelving if you have this type of racking. Again, this is the way I did it. You could do it other ways. You can cut it into 3 different parts and put some insulation foam in between each of the boards to further isolate if you're having a printer on, you know, if you're doing 3 printers per shelf or 4 printers, you can do different cuts. We're only doing 3. And so the setup's just gonna look like this: 3 on the top and then 3 on the bottom. There's enough clearance on the bottom where the AMS can open fully, and obviously you don't have to worry about the top because there's no shelving on the top. But this is the setup. And then this was a modified print that Evan had modified for me for a poop chute. We're going to standardize the poop chutes. You can see one thing is that these have magnets on them, and this just helps magnetize the poop chute to the back of the printer in case, you know, maybe they're not put on perfectly, and, you know, if you're familiar with the P or X series machines, sometimes you get filament just stuck at the lip if your poop chute is like somewhat misaligned. So that helps with that. We also modified it so that it comes out more. Again, Evan modified this file. It just gives you more poop. Instead of having to empty it every day, we can just push it forward. We can empty it maybe every 2-3 days, depending on what we're printing. And so this is going to be standardized for our P2S machines going forward as well. So only downside, like I said, or I mentioned in one of my other videos, is that this has to be printed at home in my H2D because of the size of it. I could cut it up to print it on a A1 or a P1 machine, but for now I'm just cranking these out at home. I can do 2 per day per printer. I have 2 printers, so 4 of these per day. Shouldn't take that long, maybe 4 or 5 days to just get some of these bad boys printed. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoy. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Let me know if you guys picked up a P2S, if you got an H2C instead, and why you may have gotten the H2C over the P2S. I'm very interested to hear about it. In my opinion, I think the H2D is a better printer in terms of just value and what you get for it, and maintenance, spare parts, stuff like that. That's just my 2 cents. But thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.